Okay. All right. What is going on, guys? Air Raid Mike here, your host of the unscripted, unfiltered, 100% authentic. Without further ado, I got a fun show ahead of you guys for you guys today. We're going to talk some Notre Dame football, and hey, you got to give the Fighting Irish some love, even if a lot of people, I don't know, maybe not the best friends of them, or they talk down on them. But without further ado, none better person to talk Notre Dame football than the host of the 5 Foot Nothing, 100 and Nothing, the very own himself, also Mike. Mike, welcome to the air raid, first of all, and I'm sure you know as much as everybody else does around the country if you're keeping tabs of college football. The game did get released. I'm going to talk. We'll talk that a little briefly, and we are officially 1 month away till college football.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you for having me on Air Raid, Mike. I don't know if you're also 5 foot nothing, but you know, I don't know if you air it out all the time, but my moniker is because I am 5'6". So I start every show with welcome into the 5 Foot Nothing, 100 Nothing podcast. I'm your host, and I am 5 Foot Nothing, 100 Nothing. So, but yeah, you know, we're gonna talk a lot about a lot of stuff. But yes, right off the top, you said people have opinions about Notre Dame. And it's funny, I am a Yankees fan as well. We are the Yankees of college football. I am not a Cowboys fan despite living in Texas. We are the Cowboys of college football. Everybody's got an opinion. I get it. And hopefully I can debunk some of that stuff and make people like Notre Dame just a little bit more by listening to me today.
and for all you cool OGs of college football, I'm not trying to rub this in our own face, but Notre Dame is the school that ended Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak. So way back in those days.
How much do you know who the last team to beat Oklahoma before they went on that run?
Notre Dame.
Yep. We bookended it.
Yep.
We beat you. You won 47 straight. We beat you again.
And we finally won, what was it, about roughly 10 years ago, I guess, up in South Bend. I can't remember exactly, but
yeah.
Whatever. I can't.
Dude, I'm 40. You're approaching 40.
Yep.
Years or 10 years, 15. It's all the same. It was a while ago. It was a while ago.
Yeah. And real non-sports related for all the ones that would have been curious. My dad, referring back to my tweet, my dad had a stroke earlier this afternoon, but
what?
He's been admitted and he's doing well. I did visit him earlier today, so.
I did not see that, Mike. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, dude. It is all, it's, as my dad would say, I'm around kicking it still. So, no, he's in good care. One of the best hospitals in Oklahoma City. So, hey, it's all in good hands. So, cool. No, he's in good spirits, and he's getting taken care of by some good-looking women. I think he just needs some attention. No, jokes aside, he's fine. I mean, there's some tests that's being ran that's on a more of a serious matter, but I do know that he's in good hands, and he would not want me not to do a podcast tonight. So I will respect his wishes, and we're gonna have some fun. Hey, you ready to talk some Notre Dame football, Mike?
I'm ready to talk Notre Dame, college, Oklahoma, EA Sports, whatever. Let's go.
Hey, first of all, EA Sports College Football 25 came out. I got my copy. I know you got yours. What's your first thoughts on it? What have your pros and cons of it so far?
Okay, so I'll start with this. Heisman mode is impossible.
Yes, it is.
I'm concerned because the jokes like robots and science is going to take over our planet. Heisman mode could that's exactly you can't beat a computer in a video game. But then I go play online, and I think I have to remember. My son would probably remember better than me. I think I'm 14-3 playing online against actual human beings. But then you put me on Heisman mode. I'm 0-2, and I'm like I don't even want to play my dynasty because I'm gonna lose. I'm afraid of it. But the other thing I noticed, which is a pro and a con, but I got to get used to it, is Remember, because you're close to my age,
Right.
you would be running after a running back, whatever, with your defender. You'd press square. I'm a PlayStation guy, by the way. You press
Same here.
square,
Right.
and he would dive like 4 yards and tackle the guy. Now they just fall on the ground. They don't have superhuman. Like, it's too realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it
you're right
is.
there.
Right.
You think you're gonna dive and tackle him, and you just fall on the ground. It's like, oh man, I had him. So there's some really cool, more realistic elements to the game for sure. But I will say, defense is, even playing against real people, defense is harder than it's ever been. It's harder than it's ever been.
Yes.
It's hard. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I don't. I'm gonna open myself. I'm gonna walk into the situation, so I'm just gonna deal with it. And then if anybody has a comments, definitely send them this way. I know I'm gonna walk into it. I'm obviously in the OU die here. I just can't play no other team. I just can't. I would just
Oh
wish
yeah,
my
I'm Notre Dame all the way.
yeah.
So.
I just can't. People always play. No, it's OU, or if it's whatever your favorite team is. I just can't do this swap. I want to try this team with this team. I just can't do that. But to answer your question, the conversion. First of all, I don't think there's any defensive plays that can stop anybody unless, unfortunately, my defense just can't literally stop nobody. Because I kid you not, even though I lost to Texas 56-50. I lost to Alabama, though, 82-56. I just can't, nobody, I don't know. Maybe the defensive, maybe the schemes I'm doing is maybe actually truly just sucks. And maybe that's why nobody's giving me a benefit of the doubt that I'm not a D coordinator, which I'm not. But defensive side, dude, I don't think anybody knows how to stop anybody. Number one, and then number two, I still wish College Game Day was on there. I'm not gonna lie, I think that would have been dope.
Yeah. So if you want to look at what's missing or what could have been added or what could have been different, I'm with you. And then, like, the road to glory, you don't get to do the high school part to
Right.
establish your star rating. I thought that was a miss. You get to pick it. That's kind of weird. I do like, if you do the online, they just call it the road to the CFP. I do like that you play little 10-game segments, and
I do
depending
too.
on how you do in those 10 games defines whether you move on or not, or you just start another season.
Yep.
That's really cool. I do like that. But yeah, the defensive, I'm with you, man. Like, so the reason I've been winning so much is we have Jeremiah Love, who's a fantastic running back. Riley Leonard can run as a quarterback. He's got legs in that game. He's legit got legs. I don't know if Jackson Arnold does, but Leonard does.
I'll say this: when I first played it, they finally fixed it. So congrats, yeah, you finally fixed our QB1s. They made him black. He's definitely not black.
Jackson Arnold?
They made Jackson Arnold black. Because I looked real close. I'm like, I forgot who. Oh, it was I started off playing Texas, of course, go figure. But I'm looking really, really close. I'm like, this dude's black. They finally fixed him. He's no longer black. So thank you, EA. Our third string quarterback, which is Michael Hawkins. His name is something Wakefield, and so I don't know if that's a NIL thing. He didn't, or I don't know. So anyway, so we don't have him, which I'm a little bummed about that one. But I will say one thing: I'm learning still the game, but I think I'm averaging at least 4 or 5 interceptions a game. I get frustrated. Even against Kennesaw State, I threw a pick.
Well, so that okay, so that's another element of the game that's almost too real for me, and I just got to get used to it. Like, in the old games, like, just a little bit of separation, you could drop that ball in, and now the balls just aren't quite getting there. And yeah, there's been some picks, but there are plays like, and I was gonna say, we also have Mitchell Evans, who is probably gonna be one of the top tight ends coming out, going to the NFL. Guy is just a sure-handed. So, dude, what I do to win is I just eat the clock for lunch, and I'll take the whole If you get the ball first, you're not getting the ball to the second quarter. I'm sorry, you're just not. I I just dink and dunk and run, and I figured out how that that works, right? And then you just got to play a little bit of defense, and Notre Dame does have a solid secondary, so that's huge.
Right, right.
I'll get some breaks there, but in general, yes, like even with 3rd and 16, like there's you think you all out blitz. If they smart, they see it, they're beating you behind it. Then you try
Yep.
to play zone, they somehow find the zone. It's frustrating. I get it,
No,
but
it
yes,
is.
there's picks that I throw, and I'm just like, how did that guy make that play? But it's because I'm used to the old school video games where
Yep.
that's a gimme.
Well, I will say one thing. Obviously, I don't. I want to touch on this one real quick. Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos that a lot of people were complaining about how many interceptions are being thrown. I don't know if it's because they made it legit style of play, maybe a little bit more difficult. Like Mike
Yeah,
said, the Heisman mode is just flat out near impossible. Um, even I don't do freshman, but varsity, it's that one's a tough one. But I will say one thing on Oklahoma's team. Gavin Sawchuk's a beast. Tatum, or I think they have him all. I don't think they even have him on the roster, but I think he's. I make him on the roster. He's a quick one. I like Hicks. I like our running core on the game. Jackson Arnold is a work in progress. I'll put it that way on the game, but he's not. He's pretty solid. Casey Thompson, who's been to everywhere and then some. He's a solid backup. So I love our receiving core. It's just our defense, and it's nothing
yeah,
against our guys in real life. It's just I can't scheme up, I guess, apparently things and give up, like you said, yard long third downs, and
yeah.
so it's
The
all
one
good.
thing that I do love, and this is just personal, so I don't have to waste the time to go and put everybody's name
No,
and all that. Right? They're already there with
right.
NIL. It's all there. But when I play with my boys now know who Jaden Greathouse is, and they can't wait to watch him play on Saturdays because he's been a stud right play. They know who Mitchell Evans is now. My son, when he plays on mine now, he plays with Notre Dame, and
Nice.
he he will if you're not ready, he will screen pass you to death with Jeremiah Love. And I love that they're getting to know the players versus if they didn't know any better, that's just running back number 4, that's wide receiver number 19, that's quarterback number 13. They now see the names and they
Hmm.
can when they watch it with me on Saturdays in a month, they can
Yep.
appreciate and be like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy I was playing with on that's awesome." I think that's really cool. I love that that's why it came back is because we came to an agreement on NIL stuff. I love that part of it.
No, I'm with you on that one because you're obviously we're in the same generation. We all remember when NCAA '09 and '06 and 13 and what was it 14 was the last one.
Yep.
So anything prior to that, if you physically love the game like I did, I wasted all Saturday morning making the names of the players.
Dude, this was
Kid-
back
Yep.
early internet before it was on your phone. Like you had to pull
Yep.
up your computer and look at the rosters and go, yes, dude. Yeah. But yeah, kids listening. It wasn't on your phone. You actually had
Yeah.
to have a computer.
Where's my? Oh, it's probably and it's uh it's around here somewhere. And oh, it's over there. Forget it. And or sometimes I'll be honest with you, Mike. I waited till I got my college football preview magazine, whether it's Sports Illustrated or ESPN, and I looked at the roster and did it that way. There's a lot of ways we made it work back in those days. Blockbuster Hollywood Video was our best friends back then.
Dude, yes. For sure. For sure. For sure.
But no, I love the game. I'm glad it's back out. I hope they continue it, and hopefully from there it will just get better. I know they said they're going to keep updating it, so we're going to be. I'm curious throughout what they're
Yeah.
going to update.
That's the cool part about technology. Like we were talking off air, technology has advanced
Yep.
so far. That is their one really cool element that they can do now. Like even little things like Notre Dame just released their Shamrock Series uniforms for this season, and I think they're badass. But
Nice.
it'd be really cool if they were in the game. But with the proper effort, they
Hmm.
can be in the game. It's not a lost cause. Like that's a possibility. I don't know if they will do it, to do updates like that, but it's a real possibility.
Well, exactly, because like they did with OU or Unity uniform, which I don't know how well. Yeah, that's
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. Yeah, the
yeah.
all it's like that
There we go.
gray.
Yeah, it's kind of
That
like that charcoal,
yeah.
grayish, blackish color. I like it now. I
What do they
wish
call
our
it? Anthrite or what's it called?
well they
There's a
call it
name for it.
it's Unity, but they actually have a
Like
name for it.
the color, yeah, it's got a name. But anyway, so did they put that in the game?
Now that is in the game. Now
Nice.
the I call it the oh Lord, I got the jersey right in there.
The cream ones.
The Rough Rider ones, they're not in there. More like a gosh, I wish I had that. More like let's see.
Is that the one with the big collar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. So
Yeah.
they haven't got those in there. Hopefully they will. But hey, no, I ain't. I'm not complaining too much because I'm glad college football 25 is back.
It,
We're a month away from college football, so all is well.
yeah. Yes. We're so close.
I can smell the grass being cut. Keep on talking. Notre Dame. Recapping last year. Excuse me. Last year, of course, you had two games that was, if you want to say close. Of course, the heartbreaker at home against Ohio State, and then of course losing at Clemson, and then Louisville handling business in Louisville. Uh, what would you say? How you would you recap 23? Taking that into the off season, coming off a excuse me, a bowl win against well, I don't know if we want to call it Pac-2 team now, Oregon State. I don't know what they want to call it now,
Back to
but Pac-2. Uh, but recapping 23 and as you head into 24, kind of roll through it.
yeah. So obviously Ohio State was just devastating. Only have 10 men on the field. Dropped interception. We let Kyle Honda McCord beat us, who's now at Syracuse. That was just very, very frustrating because we felt like we controlled the game. But the last offensive drive for Notre Dame is exactly what killed us last season. That it's now not an issue, or I don't know if it's an issue, but the person who was in charge of being that an issue is no longer with us. Somehow, some way, our old offensive coordinator, Jared Parker, got a head coaching job.
Yep.
I don't get it. But Notre Dame's last offensive drive, all you do is run the ball with Audric Estime, who's in the NFL, by the way, now. And he decided to get cute. And the thing is, in certain situations, if it works, you look like a genius.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't work, you look like a moron. And it didn't work. And the thing is, like, certain situations, don't do the if it works play. Do the safe route. Because the reality is, if Notre Dame just runs the football instead of getting cute, the last drive for Ohio State gets cut off at about midfield based on time.
Right.
Now, obviously, Ohio State changes their approach, but they would have had about 20 less seconds to do what they did. And the game-winning touchdown was scored with, well, I don't know, I forget, like less than 10 seconds left. It's that. So then you fast forward to Clemson, and Audric Estime goes off in the first half for like 17 carries, 80-some-odd yards, and then gets the ball for 3 carries, 5 yards in the second half. And it's like, Audric Estime is not that guy. He's a volume guy. He's like the Derrick Henry of what we had. You got to keep giving him the football, Eventually, it's going to pay off. You gave up after 3 carries. You let Clemson back in the game. And Notre Dame had 6 drives in the second half for a grand total of 60 yards.
God.
That's never going to win. That's
well,
not
no, not at all.
Especially when 5 of those drives, you were down 8 points. You were down 1 possession, and you pissed it away by terrible decision-making and play calling. And then the Louisville game happened. Sam Hartman crapped the bed, turned the ball over 5 times. It wasn't a good game. We're losing that game 100 times out of 100. I don't care if it's Oklahoma. I don't care if it's Georgia, Alabama. You give the other team the ball 5 times, you're probably not going to win the game. That's football. So the biggest issue, and the frustrating part was our defense in numerous categories was top 5 in the country. Our defense played championship football. But if you don't have the other side of it, it's kind of a flop. I think back to Charlie Weiss. How many years ago? This dude put up 40.
Yep.
This dude was putting up points like it was nothing. Had no defense, didn't recruit defense, didn't care about defense, and we lose, 41 to whatever because we can't stop anybody.
That sounds familiar from Oklahoma standpoint.
I was going to say, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And the thing with Jared Parker is, Notre Dame's highest scoring offense in X number of years and blah, 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 blah. Our defense had 7 touchdowns last year. Our special teams had 2. Those go into the points per game. If you take those out, that awesome high-flying offense that scored all these points drops to like 70th in the country. When you take out the 9 touchdowns that had nothing to do with the offensive side of the ball. It was so inflated. He basically got a touchdown a game from not hit the offense. It's like, bro, that's so misleading. So now we got Mike Denbrock. Let's go to 24.
Right.
Got Mike Denbrock. What he did at LSU is pretty obvious. He took a head coach who I think he had his thumb too much on our program in the sense of you hired an offensive coordinator to run the offense, and then you controlled everything he did. So if you're going to do that, just you be the offensive coordinator and head coach. Like, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
But Tommy Rees didn't know any better. Like, he was recruited by Brian Kelly, played under Brian Kelly. Now he was a coach under Brian Kelly. His whole college and professional career was, I do what Brian Kelly tells me to do.
Right.
And you look at what happened to with Tommy Rees over at Alabama. That crashed and burned because he never got to do his own. When he finally got the chance to do it himself, he was like, I don't know what to do.
Well, he was so controlled, not really controlled, but he was so hovered over that he just, when you let when you release the handcuffs off of him, he's like, okay, cool. And then you're like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? And then the rest is history.
No idea. Yeah, he had no idea. So now you got Denbrock coming in, and he was with Brian Kelly, but Denbrock, this is his 3rd stint at Notre Dame. First one was pre-Brian Kelly, second was with Brian Kelly, and now he's back. But I also think he's in a career position to be like, hey, BK, let's listen up. I'm doing it my way, and we're going to have success. And they did. So, with that said, if what we get on the field on Saturdays is anything like what he was able to do, and Jaden Daniels and Riley Leonard are not the same, I totally get that.
Right.
But what I feel like I saw that Tommy Rees didn't do, and neither did Brian Kelly, was, all right, what can my team do? What are they good at? And let me play to that strength. Brian Kelly and Tommy Rees, and I feel like it's Brian Kelly only, but Tommy Rees was the offensive coordinator. They were very much like, no, this is the scheme. This is the plan. Make it work.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. You can't force a scheme in college. You have to find if I have a running quarterback, you're not going to run Peyton Manning style plays. If you have Peyton Manning, you're not going to run Jaden Daniels style plays. And that's what I noticed. I feel like Denbrock was like, all right, this is what Jaden Daniels can do.
Yep.
Let's do it then. He had how many rushing yards and passing yards and all this. And Notre Dame just did not do that. Like, we running was our strength, and we were determined, even with like Ian Book, and he was fine, but then Drew Pine. Like, we're still trying to be this RPO passing. Like, no, dude. We don't have those guys. We just don't have those guys. And then with Sam Hartman, he was more traditional, I think. And I just don't think we still didn't play to the strength of what Notre Dame can do. Having seen what LSU did, I trust, until I prove it otherwise, Denbrock's going to come in and go, okay, what can y'all do? And that's what we're going to do. I don't care what scheme we're supposed to run. We're going to do what you guys are good at doing. And if that's speed, do speed. if that's quick pass game, whatever they're good at, and I can't wait to see it.
Now, Denbrock coming back in, running the show offensively, and of course Riley Leonard having some ankle injuries. If he can stay healthy, what does that look like for your guys' offense headed into 24?
So real quick, the most ironic thing in the world is Riley Leonard having ankle problems.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who caused the ankle problems?
I'm not gonna lie, I do not.
Okay, it's when Notre Dame sacked him in the fourth quarter last year and effed up his ankle for the season.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now. After you mentioned that,
Yeah.
Yep.
So we jacked up the dude's ankle, and they were like, "Come be quarterback for us." and then he has ankle problems. And we're like, dude, yeah, we did that. We saw that. But no, if he's healthy, like you've seen, if you're locked in. So he's not Sam Hartman in the sense of like he needs better supporting cast, because I was proven wrong. I felt like Notre Dame had a better supporting cast from a receiver's perspective.
Right.
But I was told by a bunch of people, no, dude, Wake Forest receivers were legit. And I was proven to be correct. I was wrong. Very different when we're talking about Duke. Right. Riley Leonard is 1,000% coming into a better situation offensively with the line, the running backs, the receivers. With a healthy Leonard who damn near beat Notre Dame with the top 5 defense, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that that's winning football. That what that looks like is the ability to be elusive and run. I mean, shit, he ran for 88 yards against Notre Dame. So he's got the legs, and if my thing is, does he have the most arm talent, and is he going to be like the next pro prospect? I don't think so. That's personal. No. But when you have the ability to move like he does, you open up passing lanes that wouldn't otherwise be there. And if you can play to that, that's what I'm talking about with Denbrock. If you can play to that strength, I mean, just dink and dunk, whatever you got to do, keep the ball moving. And I think our offense, we don't have to be the 40 points per game. I know we don't, because the defense is damn near the same coming back. We lost a couple people, and the linebackers are new, but they're not inexperienced, and they're the ones that aren't experienced are highly touted. So I fully suspect our defense to expect top 5 again. That's probably not fair, but top 10 to 15, absolutely. And in my opinion, in today's college football, that's winning football.
Sure is.
If you can have a top 10 to 15 defense, you're winning. So with that in mind, the offense does not need to be LSU of last year. It doesn't need to be Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. It doesn't need to be that. It just has to be enough and not give the game away, not have 5 turnovers.
Right.
And with that, we could go 12-0.
Well, and that was leading to, obviously, the offensive side led by Jeremiah Love, as you mentioned, and in the running back core and what is Jadarian Price? Is that how you say his name?
Yes, he's a stud.
That kid can play. I don't want to butcher his first name, but which leads to the offensive line. Of course, if you have no O line, you can't just do a lot of things. You can't protect the quarterback. You can't protect. You have no running game. I mean, your offense is practically kind of stalled out. But replacing 3 offensive linemen and really good offensive linemen, you have All-American in one, and so what does that O line look like for Notre Dame? And somebody asked me about Oklahoma, and it goes with any program out there. Doesn't matter what level or anything. You're as good as only certain players are, mainly your quarterbacks, or vice versa, your offensive line. Denver, for example, but to each its own. But any concern on that up front on that O line for Notre Dame coming into this year?
So the quick answer, short answer is yes, there is concern. Because as you alluded to, Joe Alt how do you replace the number 6 overall pick in the NFL
Yep.
draft? Like, you don't have. There's no guarantee. You can't promise that the next left tackle is also the number 6 overall pick in the NFL draft. You lost Blake Fisher, the right tackle. And I think he went, I don't even know what round. He was a later pick, I think 3rd round maybe. But yeah, we lost 3 linemen to the NFL. So they weren't just dudes who are no longer on the team because of eligibility. They were talented. Now, having said that, there's concern for those reasons. But then what helps is I think the lowest rated, and this is overall, lowest rated prospect on the O-line was like 140 in overall player rankings coming out the year they came out of high school. So you got a bunch of top 150 linemen. You would think that should lead to success.
Well, of course.
But you've been watching college football for many, many years. So have I.
Yep.
Until they do it on the field, that star rating means absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
So I'm anxious to see what it looks like. And week 1 is a pretty good test. We don't exactly have – and I like that the college football is doing this more often. You don't get a cupcake to start and get comfortable. You play a tough one, then you get a couple cupcakes after. But they got to hit the ground running. The good news is they've all been in the program. Now it's a new offensive playbook with Denbrock. But the idea is they should be good enough in the beginning to win at A&M and then win a few more games to get that gelling going, because that's the most important spot that has to be cohesive and together is the O-line. Just it has to be. You can't get Riley Leonard killed, and because while he's elusive, he's more like a big elusive. Like, he's just hard to bring down. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Kyler Murray elusive.
Right.
He's not that kind of elusive. So they really have to do a good job. So I'm really anxious to see what happens. But it does help that Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are legit running backs. Riley Leonard can move, so they can help some of the maybe lack of cohesion to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to sit here and say, oh, yeah, dude, we're good. We lost our right tackle, left tackle in the NFL. We're straight. We're not. We're not. It's going to take time. But again, like, to be the optimist person, glass half full is, yeah, the guys replacing them were 4 and 5 star, or not 5 star. That's not. I think it's the last one was Fisher, but they're all 4-star guys. So, I mean, because if your rating isn't going to show up on the field, that sucks. But we got to see it first. So as I sit here today, I don't expect it to be as good as it was last year, right at the box. But I think there's potential to get a lot better, strictly based on where they were in high school. And the ones that are still on the line, they were solid. There's no reason for them to not continue to grow and progress.
Back to the main unit, if you will. What I would say was a year or two now under the D coordinator Al Golden, Notre Dame became one of the top 10, if not top 5, defensive units in the country. I believe Notre Dame finished in 7th, I think, in scoring, 5th in total defense, 5th in yards allowed per play, and I'm not missing one more. But
one of my favorite stats, I don't know the exact number or ranking, but red zone touchdown percentage was near the top in the country. If you got in the red zone, you were very unlikely to score a touchdown, which, I mean, that's huge. Like, if you can lock down there, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it seems like obviously it's a great stat, but I want to say it was something like the opponents were scoring a touchdown like 17% of the time. They were scoring more than half the time, but only 17% of the time was an actual touchdown. So it's just It's little things like that. But yes, this will be year 3 of Al Golden. And defense has been a strength all the way going back to Elko, which we got to face him now, A&M.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a run of good defensive coordinators, and the fact that we were able to keep Golden, dude. Yeah, that's why when I talked about Leonard and what
Yep.
to expect and how healthy he is, offensive line. I'm confident that our defense can help that easing of the cohesion of the offensive line, getting Riley Leonard comfortable, etc. Knowing that, hey, our defense has our back.
Yep.
Like, we don't have to go out and score 35, 40 points a game. Our defense got us. So it's just, again, you got to see it. Because it's college football. The amount of turnover these days is
Mm-hmm.
just insane. Like, the roster, typically, obviously, graduations and all that kind of stuff, you're not getting the same roster a lot, even back in the day. But now, forget it, dude. Like,
Well,
it's so hard.
well, it is now, especially now you get the transfer portal, which a lot again, kids that's watching this or going to listen to this or whatever might be down the road for you. Back in growing up, if you transferred, you sat out, you lost your eligibility. That was the end all be all. So if you went to Miami and you want to transfer to Texas Tech, well, that's cool, but now you sit out a year and you lose a season. So um but no, going back to that though, with the transfer portal the way it is, I see more cons than I do pros, but
Me too.
a lot of it. But you got the transfer portal that's in it. You got the NIL that plays a huge deal with the transfer portal, and even just in recruiting aspect, which even with on the Oak, like and you mentioned earlier, which the 4 or 5, 3, 2, 1 star rankings don't mean nothing because if you don't produce, cool, you were the best Louisiana player in the country, well, or in the state. That's cool, but you were a bust in college. I mean, that's boils down to it. But when it comes to that, what's your thoughts on the transfer portal? Like I said, mentioned, I see more cons. I
Yeah.
don't like it. I think it's a complete and utter joke, but not my call or place to make those decisions. But I see a lot of fixing that needs to be taking place.
Yeah, I don't like that there's zero penalty for transferring. There's guy, and I get, like, you got to make exceptions. Okay, the coach that recruited you, a head coach,
Right.
leaves for another program. Like, okay, that's a free transfer. I get it, but the freedom of movement is just insane. And, like, I'll use Notre Dame for example. We got Sam Hartman last year, got Riley Leonard this year.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be the path. It just can't be. It's harder on coaches. It's harder on the players you have in the program. Like, you can't just keep backfilling with transfers. You got to at some point get kids in the program, but it's hard to keep them because you
Mm-hmm.
bring in, like, we have CJ Carr lined up. He's a freshman this year. Next year we got, as it sits today, Deuce Knight coming in, and but we also still have Kenny Mitchie and Steve Angeli. It's something's got to give, and you just know it does. But you got to get as many talented players as you can. We're talking about the quarterback position, but somebody's going to leave, and, well, depending on who it is, well, let's find someone better than. So one guy just left, the next guy up. We think he's okay, but we can get someone better. So they bring another transfer, and they just told that kid, "Hey, you're not even good. The guy that was in front of you left, and you're still not good enough to be the next guy."
Mm-hmm.
So it's really volatile, and you have to use it though. I just don't like the freedom of movement and the for the kids. It's like, all right, I'm out. See ya. Have a
Yep.
good one. Nobody wants to compete anymore, and I've seen every version of transferring and having success, transferring and being a complete bust, and then if you look back and like, "Ah, I could have
Mm-hmm.
been playing. I could have been playing right now at the team I
Yep.
just left." You see it all the time. It's buyer's remorse or transfer's remorse. It's like, I shouldn't have left. It, but I don't like it. There has to be more stipulation. I made a joke on Twitter that if you commit to a program, you have to get their logo tattooed on you. And if you decide to transfer, you have to go through the tattoo removal
I like
process.
that.
And you have to get the new schools tattooed on you. Maybe that will deter these kids and make them put in a little more effort and fight to stick it out just a little bit. I don't like the idea that they don't even have to try. Like they really don't. And some of these kids, they're banking on, well, I never got to play. I was a high 4-star, so I'm still banking on that.
Yep.
But you come to find out, in a lot of cases, there's a reason you never saw the field at that old school.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because they didn't like you or there were too many players in front of you. You didn't break through the lineup. You just weren't that good. It is what it is. And
Well, well, no, exactly, because I mean, like my dad always said growing up, especially when we were playing sports and being looked at, was, and it wasn't directed towards us, but we got the memo. I mean, but and it wasn't nothing harsh, but a lot of players. That's why you're getting recruited by D3. There's just not that. There's no, you can be recruited by the best of the best, but there's a reason why you're at Louis Monroe. There's a reason why you're at Wisconsin Whitewater. There's nothing wrong with those programs, but especially Wisconsin Whitewater. But but phenomenal program up there. But no, I just see a lot of issues with it. Somebody mentioned to me, I don't want to say him in case it wasn't him, but I want to say it was Big Mike, are part of the Triple Threat Pod, Thursday Night Triple Threat podcast with him and Mr. U. But I think it might have been him. If not, I'm sorry if I put words in your mouth that wasn't true. But he brought up an idea, or somebody did. So he brought up an idea, if not somebody did, that maybe you give them whatever the money, NIL money that they were offered, maybe after year 3, just to see if they'd be willing to commit through, and then say, hey, I don't know if that's a bit something like that along the lines of maybe portion it out year 1, year 2, year 3. But I don't know. I know the NIL plays a huge role in that too nowadays, and I know that's a touchy subject for many. But
yeah,
anyway, so
I avoided bringing that up as far as the transfer. Just I don't know. I get it. It's just this NIL stuff is not what I thought. Like the video game. Okay, that makes total
absolutely, yeah.
sense. What I thought NIL was gonna be on its most basic level was now you can sell that player's jersey or something with them on it in the school store, and there you go. And yes, maybe if they are that guy, in said town, they can be paid to be in a commercial for a local business or whatever.
Right.
That I thought it was going to be very simple, like sponsorships for professional athletes.
See, that's what I was thought too. Yeah.
And it's not that at all.
Not even close.
Not even a little.
Not even close.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like the highest bidder on this stuff, and it's just like I don't care for it. And one of the reasons I like being a fan of Notre Dame is we are trying our best to do it the way it was meant to be done. I mean, we are still we're graying the lines of what it was meant to be and what people are doing, but we're still staying, in my opinion, closer to what it was supposed to be than just handing out money. Yep. Even though Hartman got like $1 million, I think Leonard got like $1 million and all that, but it would, from my understanding, it's being done in a more controlled, sensible way versus trying to make a $30 million roster. So
no,
I can appreciate that.
Well, and
I don't think Venables is that guy either. I think Venables is like that too.
Well, no, and he made a comment along the lines of something to the degree of, I want when he came in, I think it might have been year two, because year one he just unfortunately got stuck with whatever he had left.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I mean, it was bad. But I liked what he said. It might have been during this past off season, right before the SEC days. It might have been right before Big 12 last year. But anyway, was along the lines is I want people that's committed to Oklahoma, not committed to this certain amount of money. I want people that's actually legitimately committed. They want to go, X, Y, and Z. They want the people, and that's why I got to give respect to Dabo. I know Dabo's taking a lot of heat up there in Clemson and stuff like that. But him and I get he's probably not exactly. I'm sure Brent Venables is using the NIL to hit advantage. I don't think he's just flat out throwing it out there. But at the same time, he's probably the same thing. I want people that's committed to being a man, getting their 4-year degree or 3 year if they can do it that quick or whatever the case might be. And that's why I applaud Venables is because he's, I want to build something, but if you come to Oklahoma, here's the expectations and here's what's required. Now, and I think anybody that can contest to that or can make that the foundation of the program, I give Matt props to, especially nowadays with so much social media out there. Number one, number two, the money itself is just outrageous. I mean, Bryce Young, when he was at Alabama, and then we'll move on to the 24 schedule, but he made close to $7 million at Alabama just off of strictly the NIL.
Yep.
So, hey, I mean, if they want to share some money towards us, I mean, I'll be glad to take it.
I don't know if it makes it down to the D3 level, but I played D3 football. I wasn't offered any money.
I wasn't either. Half scholarship and the rest you got to figure out yourself. That's what mine was. That's what mine was. Yep. That's what mine was. So, well, all is well. 2024 Notre Dame schedule.
I got to pull it up over here too.
You gotta, I would say your road games are pretty interesting. Your home games aren't too bad for the most part, besides that November 9th. But let's go through it. Kicking off next Saturday. I wish
right.
A month from now against Texas A&M, our good brethrens back in the SEC from the former Big 12 days. But Texas A&M and Kyle Field. Then you guys host Northern Illinois. Then you go to Purdue. Then you host Miami of Ohio. Then you get the Louisville game on the 28th. Then you're off. Then it's the wonderful Stanford game. Then you go to Georgia Tech. You play Navy in New Jersey. Then you're off again before you get Florida State, Virginia, Army in the Bronx, and then at Yankee Stadium, and then at USC, which who knows? Lincoln Riley may not even make it through that season, so he may already be gone by then. At USC, it's a good one, especially that week one against Texas A&M. Kyle Field is it's loud and it's a ruckus down there. But your thoughts on the season and what your predictions on the overall record for you guys?
So yeah, so I was actually the last time Notre Dame played at A&M. I was there. I was actually in the student section of A&M because kid I went to high school with went to A&M.
Very nice.
And Notre Dame lost 24-3, and that sucked. But that was 2003, and that was a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
So playing at A&M, I've said this more than a few times. If you told me, hey, you got to play a Mike Elko coach team with real resources, when do you want to play that team? So I don't care when or where. I mean, I don't care where, but week one, game one of that era. Because what he did with Duke, and he's had success as a defensive coordinator every stop. Notre Dame included, A&M included, goes to Duke and makes them really competitive and really scary on the schedule. Like, I have a bunch of Clemson fans, and they're like, I just want Duke to be Duke again. Like,
right.
What happened to Duke? So playing Elko, game one, week one of that new regime, I'll take it. Now, if we can get past that game, and I think we will, simply because it is game one, week one, and Notre Dame has the defensive side going in their favor in any matchup this season, I think, especially week one. So get out of that game. Then it's Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Louisville.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hate preseason rankings.
Yep. Me too. They're pointless to me, but
They are. Louisville ranked 21st.
yeah.
I don't even, Notre Dame's, I think, 8. And like we just talked, there's so much turnover. How in the F do you know anything about anything?
And most of these rankings are going back from last year.
Exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem. And so Louisville being 21, I don't know. We'll see. Jeff Brom's a great coach. He's a solid dude. We'll see what they are. I don't think I'd be too worried. Plus, it's at home for Notre Dame, so we're good. Then we're off. Stanford, that's easy. Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State at home. All right, so I listened. I don't know if you listened to this one. I listened to Jen, your Knowles fan.
Oh, yes. I know. You know, she was on the show about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I listened to it.
And
she's talking about, I'm not scared of anybody. Notre Dame, please. Florida State's, this was what got me. Like, if you want to think that about Notre Dame, that's fine. But what's your reasoning? And her reasoning was Florida State's better with DJU. First of all, you just went 12-0. What do you mean you're better?
Yep.
Like,
right.
I don't see it. I don't see it. And there's a reason DJU's on his third fucking school. Sorry for the language. There's a reason.
Good. You're good.
There's a reason. We got his ass fucking benched in Notre Dame and South Bend. And they had to bring Kate Klubnik in, and Kate Klubnik got his ass kicked. So now you're going to bring him back with a new helmet? He's going to be better? No. Sorry.
That's a perfect clip right there.
There's a reason he's on his third school. That's all I'm saying. And it's not because the Pac-2 is folding. There's a reason. So I could be proven wrong. It's late in the season. Maybe DJU figures it out. But he couldn't figure it out at Clemson. It didn't go well at Oregon State. Now he's at FSU. We'll see. I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. Having said that, Florida State's got players. And talent matters, right? Talent can make plays. Talent can get points on the board.
Yep.
So we'll see. That game is one that after A&M, the next game I'm worried about is Florida State.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, by far.
We'll see what happens. Virginia Army at USC. I don't know. They beat us with Caleb Williams because we didn't know what to do the first time around. Then we shut Caleb Williams the fuck down.
Yep. That
dude looked clueless, and he had, now you don't have Caleb Williams and you're going to go out and beat Notre Dame? Come on. That defense shut Caleb Williams down. Heisman Trophy winning, number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. Yep. Now you got not Caleb Williams. Same premise with Notre Dame and their O-line. I have no idea what to expect, but what I can tell you is it's not going to be what Joe Alt was at left tackle. So USC, you can't sit here and go, we're good at quarterback. We're better. No, you're not.
Not even close. No, not even close.
Saying all that, does that mean Notre Dame goes 12-0? I don't think so. I think 11-1. I don't know who the 1 is, though. I really don't.
If I had to make my pick, the 1 would either be Florida State or I really don't want to give credit to A&M, but that'd be my only other option, though.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Like, if I could just say it's going to be one of these two, it's probably A&M or Florida State. The thing is, again, I feel like in our position, week 1, game 1, we have an advantage over A&M. Then with Florida State, we're at home. So in both cases, I feel like there's an advantage for Notre Dame. I don't know what that means, though. And I can't call 12-0. I just don't see it. But here's the thing. 12-0 or 11-1, I think
still get you in the playoffs.
Well, it does, but it's also, I think Notre Dame's in the same spot regardless, which is hosting the first round of the playoffs.
True.
Because we can't get a top 4 seed because of
conference.
No conference.
Right.
So the best we can do is 5. If we go 11-1 or 12-0, we're going to be one of the 5 through 8s. and we're going to be hosting a first-round game. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, there's no doubt they're in the top 8.
Right, absolutely right.
So we're hosting a playoff. So to me, 11-1 or 12-0 is all the same, in my opinion. And I just don't think 12-0 is going to happen, partly because last year Freeman still had some little whoops-a-daisies from a coaching perspective. He's still figuring it out. And God bless that man, because he's obviously excelled and accelerated through the coaching ranks, like at lightning speed. To his first head coaching job is at the University of Notre Dame. Like, what? And he's not even 40. And it's a tall task.
No, it is. Yeah.
So where another coach, like, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't even think of. I don't even know where Lincoln Riley started. But like,
I think
where was
he
started. Was OU his first head coaching job?
Yes.
Okay, but see, that's still a big ask. So that's not even a good example. But like, Freeman did not have the opportunity to learn some of this at a lower level, where the risk isn't as high. We're literally watching on national television every weekend, whether it be NBC, ABC, ESPN, wherever, you're watching Marcus Freeman learn how to coach. And that doesn't always happen. So I feel bad for the dude, because he is really good to do what he's still doing, but he's still learning. And I don't yet have the confidence in his coaching to go, 12-0. We got this. I don't. So 11-1, playoffs, host a playoff game. And then depending on what that 11-1 looks like, where do we go from there? Who else in the playoffs? Who we matched up with? All those factors. But given the new layout, what Notre Dame needs as a program, Marcus Freeman needs as a coach, we as fans, is just to win that first game. Just win that first game.
Yep.
Don't go OU, don't go Notre Dame, make it there and lose every time. Because, hey, you're 0-4, we're 0-2. Combined, we're 0-6. Like, we're not good. we're not good when we get there. So just get, like, it's one of those. I'm a bowler. I'm a big bowler guy, and it's just you're in a funk. It's just getting that strike, just seeing that strike, feeling that strike, seeing the ball hit those pins. It's like, okay, I got this. It's just getting that first win, and I think that'll change the mindset. That'll change how you play the game. You won't be as, don't make a mistake. Just win the game, however it happens, and just. So the new layout allows for that, because, and again, even like, you're not in a conference, you don't get a top 4 seed. Actually, I prefer it, because if Notre Dame does what Notre Dame should do, we're like a 5 or a 6. Now we're playing a 12 or an 11. We should beat them, get that win. Okay, now let's go play the big boys.
Speaking of conferences, as we wind down towards a home stretch.
I was trying to set you up to get to this one, so that'll wrap up the show.
You're good, dude. You're good. I've been enjoying this. Conference realignment. A lot of people can sit there and say Oklahoma, Texas was the nail in the coffin for the Pac-12. You can say whatever else you want to say. Maybe that's what's dragging Florida State, Clemson. But conference realignment, I don't think is over yet. I think it's just still going to be beginning. But Notre Dame is actually a big piece to this conference realignment that does get brought up, but doesn't really get brought up at the same time. In your opinion, I know NBC has a lot, I'm sure has a lot of pull in this, especially money-wise from the television market. Why hasn't Notre Dame, or have they? I mean, probably shouldn't sit there and say they probably haven't, but why haven't we seen more talk of Notre Dame potentially? Maybe not the ACC, because, rumors have it they may be the next Pac-2 to go down the drain, but to the Big 12, to the Big 10, which fits that market just because of where they're at, geographically, even though Stanford is in the ACC, which makes no sense whatsoever.
So is Cal.
So is Cal.
They're further west. I think.
Yeah.
They're closer to the ocean.
I mean, I don't get that, but it is what it is. West Virginia, Big 12, whatever. But anyway, why haven't we seen here or hear at least more talk of Notre Dame being potential or not victims, but the next chess piece to move in the so-called realignment chaos?
All right. So first, I don't know how many listeners you have, but I'll give
It
a
keeps
quick.
going. It's fluctuating. I know I got Wizzy. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. 110 says hi. So what's up?
There you
But then we go on.
go. But I'm going to educate them a little bit on why Notre Dame ultimately ended up independent and is still independent. It goes back to when the Big Ten was formed, which was headed up by Michigan and a guy named Fielding Yost. Fielding Yost was a racist anti-Catholic, and he made sure Notre Dame could not join the Big Ten back almost 100 years ago.
Right.
I think it was like in the 30s. That was something he did. And Notre Dame was like, okay, we're not going to join. And they go and do their own thing and develop their rivalry with USC and do all these things and become this national brand and have success and et cetera. Then fast forward to the early 90s. There was an opportunity, a potential for Notre Dame to join again. The Big Ten somewhat dragged their feet, and NBC saw an opportunity.
Gotcha.
Notre Dame still is probably the most recognized brand.
By far.
Nationally and potentially globally. NBC saw an opportunity, offered Notre Dame an exclusive contract to air their television games air their home games on television, and Notre Dame took it. Said, "No, thank you, Big Ten. You screwed us once. You're dragging your feet two," and that the rest is history. And why we're still independent is there's no reason to join a conference. And people continue to say, well, Notre Dame gets special treatment. You're right. We do. But why? Because they know with Notre Dame, it leads to what? More money. This whole thing today is about money.
No, exactly.
Everyone who's CFP, conferences, etc., they know the value, the financial gain of having Notre Dame involved. And if Notre Dame is going to make concessions such as, we will be in the top four, that's fine. We want our independence. Because there's more freedoms. Like, for example, listen to the Jen podcast, or what you had Jen on. She was crapping on Notre Dame being independent. But then she also said, and the ACC screwed us on the schedule. Oh, jeez. What happened? We don't have that problem.
Nope.
I mean, we do have to manage some of it, yes. We do have to adhere and work with teams that are in a conference. But at the end of the day, we make our schedule. And the other thing that I always like to say, there's very few programs, and no offense, Mike, I'm not sure Oklahoma's one of them, that can go independent tomorrow and succeed and sustain itself.
I would say not many would be able, and I'm with you. I don't want to sit there and say Oklahoma is not gonna is one of those that probably couldn't, and they may not. A lot of these programs, they live and die by this money.
They need the conference money to keep their program going.
Especially, let's be honest. I mean, let's call it what it is. I'm sure the MAC schools, they can't afford that.
No, there's no
not
way.
Even close. Yeah, that's not even close.
They need it. So it's not me saying we're better than anyone else.
Right.
It's just a reality that we can be independent because we're able to be independent. We don't need, like, since Notre Dame's been independent the last I don't know how many years, the independent list has gone up and down. Teams coming in and coming out because they lost the conference, but we need to join a conference. This ain't gonna work. So we're still independent because we can be. We're not in the Big Ten because they made it difficult a long, long time ago. And then fast forward, NBC came to the fold.
Yep.
Now, whatever happens, Notre Dame is continuing to be included because I hate to say it this way, but we are Notre Dame. Now, the only way it's going to change is if big conferences college football playoff gets together and says, unless Notre Dame joins a conference, they are out. But that becomes a, who's going to chicken out first? You're going to drive head first at each other, and who's going to dip off because they know they need Notre Dame, and Notre Dame knows we don't really need you. Unless you follow through with that threat, and then, okay. But if you follow through with it, I feel like there's an element that Notre Dame's going to be like, all right, let's see what happens. Let's see if they do lose money, if they do, like, what are they giving up and what are we giving up? Like, but until that happens, I don't see it changing. It's not it is a bit of a pride thing, but I think it's more of a freedom thing. Because if you listen to people who their team is in a conference, if you talk to them long enough, it comes up that, oh, yeah, well, the conference restricts us from that, whatever that is.
Right.
Or a schedule faux pas that they don't like. It's like, oh, the conference did that. I was like, you're right. Like, we don't have that problem. And like I said, not being able to be 1 through 4, it sucks, yes, but it's a sacrifice I think as a program we're willing to make. It's not a scheduling issue. As I mentioned off air, over the last 9 years, Notre Dame's strength of schedule average is 16. So it's not like people aren't willing to play us. Now, I'm anxious to see going forward, because of Notre Dame's scheduling and being independent, our schedules are made several years in advance.
Right.
We have to. I'm curious to see what happens now with the Big Ten expanding as they are, the SEC likely to expand as they are, where that leaves the scheduling opportunities. That might lead to an issue. If Notre Dame can't get a USC, a Florida State, an A&M, I'm trying to think. We got Alabama coming up in 26 and 27, I believe. I'm trying. There's another one. Arkansas is not great, but it's SEC team. So all those teams are coming up on the schedule. If these expansions happen the way they're being talked about, will they still be able to schedule a team like Notre Dame, depending on what their conference schedule looks like? That is a real concern. But
yeah, because you're looking at like next year's schedule, for example. You guys got 2 SEC schools next year, Texas A&M and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Boise State. Now that's an interesting one, but Boise's always being mentioned.
Well, we were supposed to play Miami. We were supposed to play Miami in that spot, but then something happened with Miami, and we had to replace it. And the available option was Boise State, which isn't that bad of a replacement, to be honest.
No. 2026 gets you a mixture of a lot of Big Ten and ACC schools. I think that's kind of cool. 27 practically the ACC for the most part. But no, I mean I'm with you though. Is the fact that with all these expansions, especially when we get into the late 2020s and so on and so forth, is that going to affect anything? Is that not going to affect anything? And I guess we're just going to ride out the ship. But no, one thing I got to respect Notre Dame on is strictly because of the fact that they keep the tradition still tradition. They're not allowing the big money, and I get the money's out there. College football is a big sport right now, but what I like is they're being content. They're being conservative to an extent, and they're keeping it real. They're keeping it flat out. Hey, we just going to be us.
Well, and that's exactly what it is, right? And real quick, I was wrong. It's Alabama in 29 is when we play them first. I was a few years ahead of me. I was thinking of Arkansas, I think. Wrong and very different skill level A team in the SEC. Well, they both start with A's. That's about as close as there are. And they both wear red. But yeah, it is a very I'm just saying, and they both start with A, they're red, and that's about as far as it goes. So Arkansas is at 26, 27, and Alabama's at 29 and 30. But yeah, the tradition is a very real thing within the Notre Dame program and community that we do care about. We don't put names on jerseys.
Nope.
Our uniforms are not as outlandish. We have the Shamrock series that we wear as a one-off to have some fun, to bring in the kids that do like that stuff, because the reality is teenagers like that stuff.
Right.
So there's all that. But yeah, we try to stay traditional as much as possible, going all the way up to and including NIL and how admittance and all that kind of stuff. And I think being independent is part of that. So until it's going to stop us from winning a national championship, it's not going to change. And
No.
if it did, it would be the Big Ten. It would absolutely be the Big Ten. And it would have to be the Big Ten for me. Because now the USC's there, and Michigan's there, and Ohio State's there, and Purdue's there, and Michigan State's there. All these teams I grew up watching Notre Dame play are there. So, and Stanford. No, they're in the ACC. I think that's right. Stanford with the ACC. That was like the one rivalry that Notre Dame can almost guaranteed to continue to play as long as the ACC still exists, because there's that tie-in for the other sports. But I could see, depending on what happens with the ACC, Notre Dame moving the other sports to the Big Ten, and then that would open the door for the football to be Big Ten as well.
Yep.
But that's a perfect example. Notre Dame football can remain independent and be independent. The other programs can't. That's why they're in a conference.
Well, exactly. The Olympic sports, as I call them, the Olympic sports,
Yes.
they can't. They're. I mean, let's just call it. I don't care what university they're at. The football programs are keeping these Olympic sports alive. If it wasn't for their football programs, goodbye. I mean, they're the closing shop.
Outside of a handful of basketball teams, yes. I mean, you could Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. They're probably doing okay with just their basketball program. But that's sad. Is there another one? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is there another school that's more known for their basketball program? And when you say Duke, you think basketball. I say North Carolina, I think basketball. Kansas,
Absolutely,
basketball.
yeah. Arizona used to be basketball, but I think their basketball is kind of dipping.
Yeah. I think it's just like those three. Oh, Kentucky.
Kentucky,
I knew it was a fourth.
Yeah, Kentucky.
But that's pretty much it. After that is every other school you think of.
Now, if you think of the John Wooden days, I would have said UCLA.
Yeah,
but that program's gone south. So it's football.
But that's another just an example. Like, it's not Notre Dame as a university; it's the football program, because baseball, basketball, softball, whatever, are all in the ACC.
Getting their money, they got to.
Yeah,
if they want to keep it alive, they got to.
Yes.
Final question. We'll let you off. Is dark horse? Who's your dark horse in college football this year?
Ooh. That's tough, man.
I'm going to give you 5 questions of death. Number 1 is dark horse. Who's your college football dark horse to make some noise? I ain't going to say national championship, but at least to make some noise.
You know, it sounds crazy, but only because the dude's been hyped up so much. I have no love for what I'm about to say. It's just, I really want to see if Tennessee can do this with Nico.
Yep.
Like, I feel like if all the hype around that dude is legit, I think they can do it. I really do, because I feel like they've been close, but I mean, why am I spacing on? It starts with H. The quarterback they had,
Josh Heupel.
No, the quarterback, not Milton, the guy before him.
Oh, I can see
he
his
came from
face.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I can.
Hooker, Hendon Hooker.
Yes.
Okay, so if Nico is a better version of Hooker, I think they could be a dark horse. I really do. I can't stand Tennessee. I hope that's not true. But I just look around as like, people might say Ole Miss. They lost too much, and it's hard to compete in the SEC. I know Tennessee's in the SEC,
Right.
but Jackson Dart's not that guy. Like he's not. So I just scrambling real quick. That's the one I could think of that who has a difference maker at a key position that could flip some games for a team. And that's the one I think of. Because the other ones you think of aren't dark horses. They're expected to have success.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Utah. I mean, if Cameron Rising can stay healthy, that's his biggest issue. I think Utah, but I mean, you got Utah. A lot of people got them win the Big 12. So
that's true. Well,
I mean,
but what's left of the Big 12?
There ain't much left of the Big 12.
Well, that's the problem. It's like it's you didn't just win the Big 12 with OU and Texas.
Yeah, it's no. Texas and OU ran the Big 12 for a long, long time. Second question: first coach to be fired.
Ooh,
I still think Lincoln to an extent.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Napier.
Oh yeah, Billy.
Dude, it's got to be. Florida is. You just added. I don't know what their schedule looks like. Different topic for another day for Florida in the SEC with OU and Texas there now, but that didn't exactly make it easier.
No.
Struggling, so,
yeah,
it hadn't been good.
Real quick, conference wise, let's put. I mean, they're non-conferences, whatever. Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee on the road, Kentucky, Georgia at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. So here we go. Now from the month of November, this is a stretch. If he has a winning season, he's not going to now. The month of November, number 1 Georgia, number 4 at Texas, number 12 LSU, number 6 Ole Miss, and at number 15 Florida State. That's just a month of November in itself.
Yeah, dude. He's
goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. He's done.
Yeah.
But number 3, your thoughts on Oklahoma? Who has the most success the first 3 years in the SEC, Oklahoma or Texas? And you can find if you say Texas. I'm just curious your thoughts. I just think Texas is a little overhyped, in my opinion.
Well, I do think they are. I'm going to say Texas only because, similarly to why I can't say Notre Dame should go 12-0 this year.
Right.
I haven't. Now, Sark has had this and this throughout his coaching career, but Venables doesn't have a coaching career to point to yet. And I think Texas historically is going to get better recruits on average.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, but does that mean when I say they're better, are they going to win the SEC? No. I just think they're in the first 3 years, I think they're going to do better than Oklahoma just because I think Oklahoma is a little bit more working against it.
Right.
Starting with Venables still learning this job. I think that's the biggest issue.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, because real quick, I mean, let's just be honest. I'm not going to sit there and say if all the players that the really good ones left OU when Lincoln left, I'm not going to sit there and say that we would have been better. We probably had a better season than 6-7 the following year, but you know, people got to realize he's now bringing his own kids in now. I believe most of the Lincoln kids are now gone. If they're not there, this is their final year. So, you know, you're about to finally get that bad juju out of here. No, I would sit there and say I would see that, but hopefully not. And you know,
yeah.
What was it? Number 4? Oh, Florida coaching. Oh, Alabama. Nick, Coach DeBoer. How well do you think he'll do in Alabama? I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he's gonna do at all anything there. But
I think Alabama is gonna become just have a really good team that every few years will be in the SEC championship game, but it's not going to be an expected regular thing.
Right.
I think they're going to be good enough. I think Alabama is at a point where they're not going to have that fall off that they had between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban.
Right.
Because it was about that long, wasn't it? It was a long
long time.
yeah. So I don't think it's going to fall that far because of what today's college football is. I don't think NIL and all that is going to allow them to fall that far. But I don't think they're going to be on the same consistency anywhere close to that they were with Saban. They're going to be a top 4, 5 SEC team every year. Sometimes they're 1, sometimes they're 5, and that's it. They're not going to be the dominant force that they've been at all. I mean, they started to not be as dominant with Saban, so I mean they still were, but Georgia has become that.
Mm-hmm.
So even now, they're with Saban, they were the number 2. So yeah, that's what I see.
Last one, Coach Prime. A lot of people are mixed on him. I'm on the fence with him. I mean, obviously, Shadur and Shiloh and Travis Hunter are all going to be gone after this year, regardless of what happens. Does he stay in Boulder or does he bolt? And if so, where do you think he lands in 25?
I think he's going to leave because, well, I don't know what it's going to be, but he's going to do something or say something to basically just run off anybody who ever wanted to go to Colorado. And I think I heard you say, like, parents aren't liking what he's doing and this and that. But at the same time, there's going to be a whole another fan base that can't wait for him to be the head coach there. Where that's going to be, I'm not that in tune with what's going on to say yay or nay on it. I really don't. If Napier goes, Florida could be a candidate. If Riley goes, no, not USC. That would make sense. I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I always ain't gonna lie, I always thought maybe Dallas Cowboys, but I don't know if he would ever test the NFL waters.
Oh, dude, no, he wouldn't go to the NFL. I don't think, because I don't think those players would put up with the BS.
True.
He would definitely not go to Dallas because Jerry runs the show.
He has too much control.
Deion would not run the show.
No.
Deion needs to run the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you just know, Shadur Sanders says that Colorado is everybody's Super Bowl, so.
Yep.
Hey, go for it. 4-8, guys. 4-8.
I hope they make a lot of trophies to hand out after each game.
Oh, they do. I'm sure it's Final one, easy one. Where can all the listeners find you at on your socials as we wrap up this fun-filled show?
Yes. Hey, thank you, Mike, for having me on. This was awesome. I had a blast. Always love talking college football, Notre Dame football.
Yep.
Where you can find me is on Twitter, or now X. It's at 5 Foot Nothin Pod. The number 5 Foot Nothin Pod. Find me there. I talk a lot of anything. It's my own personal account. It's Notre Dame centric and driven, but Yankees stuff gets in there. Comedy sneaks its way in there. My son highlights sneak in there. So, but at 5 Foot Nothin Pod on Twitter, I'm there too much. Actually, I'm there too much. I should take a break, and I don't know how.
Same here, and it has nothing to do with football. I should ask you this one real quick, and this will be another show topic for another show. Yankees based. Brian Cashman, I'm a Yankee fan. Do we see him back in 25? I think he needs to go.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it because, well, I don't know how much he's actually doing. Like
that's
what I mean. Like him going or staying, I don't know that it makes a difference. So I'd like to see him go because I want to see if it does make a difference. But I feel like the Steinbrenners are still too involved. They're the Jerry Jones of baseball. I know George is dead, but the Steinbrenners are still doing too much. So
I think Cal is just not wanting to spend the money, but we'll see when the offseason comes and they got to figure out what they're going to do with Juan Soto and his contract. So we'll see.
Hey,
hopefully they can resign. I just want number 28. Can we get 28?
Let's go.
You've been listening to the Air Raid Tag Podcast. Listen to us on major podcast platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Air Raid Podcast. Mike, It was a fun one. I'll definitely have you back on, talk some baseball, and maybe catch up on mid-season form in college football as well. And take care of yourself, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Thank you.
Hey, everyone, be kind, be generous. We'll see you all next time. See ya.